This
beautiful home.
conference will now be
No,
recorded.
but it's for the purpose of the minutes, correct?
Okay, for the purpose of minutes, I started this meeting at 11:25, and I read into the record, which I will pass on to the secretary, the chairman's, the right to know, Governor
That
Sununu's
was all
emergency
vocal.
order number 12.
We
So,
heard all that.
yep, everybody is
It
present.
wasn't recorded though.
It wasn't recorded, Sandy, so
Oh, okay.
I'm just
Okay.
saying for the record that I did read it. Thank you, Tim, for alerting me on that. Okay, so for roll call presence, I will call your name and we will take a roll call. Jane Alden,
Jane Alden here.
Iris Iano,
Iris Iano here. No one else is with me.
okay, Sandy Plessner,
I'm here and there's no one else with me.
okay, and Emily LaPlante will not be with us today, and Pat Constantino. Jane Alden is with me, and there is one person upstairs. And then joining with us today is Cindy Yansky, and Terry Page will be joining us in a few minutes. So, and Tim Pearson is listening in on the conversation as our tech support. So, first order of business before Terry comes in, we need to vote on officers.
Madam Chairperson,
Okay.
this is Jane Alden. I'd like to make a motion that we keep our officers as they are now going forward.
I'll
I'll
second that motion.
second that.
Oh, that's easy. Second by Sandy, or I had 2 seconds there. Who's going to take the second?
I
I'll
said
take
it also.
All right. So
Okay, go ahead.
second by Iris. Jane, discussion? So we're going to keep chair as Pat Constantino, vice chair as Emily, and secretary as Sandy Plessner, correct?
Correct.
Yes,
Correct.
correct.
All right. A roll call vote for voting on it. Jane Alden,
Yes.
Iris,
Yes.
Sandy,
Yes,
Pat, yes. All right. That concludes voting of the officers, and we will pass that in. Oh, I'm so sorry. I am just absolutely so sorry. Hold on 1 second. We got to do that vote over again. My apologies. Absolutely my apologies. The first order of business is swearing you folks in. All right, Iris and
Before me.
all right, Iris, raise your right hand and repeat after me. Iris Iano,
Iris Iano,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully
that I will faithfully
and impartially discharge
and impartially discharge
and perform all the duties incumbent on me
and perform all duties that are incumbent on me
as a Tilton Senior Executive Committee member
as a Tilton Senior Center executive member
to the best of my abilities,
to the best of my abilities,
agreeably to the rules and regulations,
what was the first word again, Pat?
agreeably
Agreeably
to the rules
according
and
to the
regulations
regulations
of the Constitution
of the Constitution
and the laws of the state of New Hampshire.
and the laws of the state of New Hampshire.
So help me God.
So help me God.
So when you come back into
Yeah.
Tilton, you need to come in and sign this with Gail.
Okay.
You're sworn
Okay.
in, but I have to write on it that you were sworn in virtually, and then you will come in and sign it for Cindy's record. Okay,
Okay,
but now you
okay.
are. So let's just go back and Jane will make her motion again, please.
Yes, I would like to make a motion to go forward with the same slate of officers as we had this past year.
And Iris,
Okay.
so
I'll second
it. Okay, roll call vote. Jane,
Yes,
Iris,
it. Yes.
Andy,
Yes,
Pat, yes. Okay, now we're legal. All right, Emily is not sworn in yet, so we still have to swear her in before, and we can, she can go to town hall. That's fine. Someone can swear her in there. Okay, next order of business is we all have the van. Everybody's seen pictures of the van. It rides beautifully. It's unbelievable. I love it. Thank you, Cindy, for helping us get that. That is just amazing. And so Kevin's gone through it. There wasn't much to do. He tied up a harness or something in the engine, so it's nice and neat. That's about all he's done. Kelly Sedgley is going to, I guess, rapid is what their language is, Tilton Senior Center and take off Granite State Independent Living off the side and put Tilton Senior Center. I don't know whether she's going to do the doors and the side. I have no idea what, where, why, but she's donating her services. So
Awesome.
the first week in May, it's going over there. Okay, but
Awesome.
it's registered, it's inspected. I have to go down to town hall today. The permanent plates came in, and I have to sign the registration. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So Cindy, we all got the Concord Area Transit Winnipesaukee Transit Driver's Manual. So we are tasked to come up with some type of framework for a driver policy. Now, just let me give you some history to the committee on what I found out as far as rules and regulations. So we don't need a CDL license to drive this van by the state. Um, we do need a medical card to drive this uh, for insurance and liability to drive this. Now, we would need, Gail would make that appointment for the persons that are driving, and I know Cindy, I'm not Cindy, Emily has Dave Cloutier, I think his name is. Iris, you might know him. He's at the center and he's at the music at Wednesday nights. Is it named Cloutier or Cloutier? Dave?
I'm not sure. I think he came after I was gone because he was from Belmont, right?
I don't know. He worked at Carlson Motors.
Oh, okay. But I'm pretty sure he was from the Belmont people that came over when they closed.
Okay, so he would like to be a driver, and Em wants to be a driver, and Jane wants to be a driver. So uh, that's a requirement. Now we don't, as far as the federal motor carrier, because we are non-commerce and we're not charging it sort of like CAP or Granite State Independent Living, we don't have to deal with anything with them because we're not charging Medicare or Medicaid or anything like that. So rules and regulations in a municipality are very different. So we checked with Primex to see if there's any um, training or any certification or anything like that that's needed for us. And really, you just get in and drive, which is very uncomfortable to me because there's a lot to learn about safety and protocol and what the state regulations are. But the state really doesn't regulate us because we're not a commerce or regulated municipality. So Cindy's training will probably cover that, but we can't get that training right now because of COVID. So um, that needs to be in our driver policy, that that training, that what to do and how to do it needs to be here. Um, we can't
Agree.
just we can't just get in and not know how to tie down a wheelchair properly, or um, how to use a spill kit if somebody got sick on the bus, or how to use the ramp properly, how to unload and load a person. It's safety. And we are responsible for that. And not only that, it's a liability to the town. So we have to be very, very cautious to do that. So
Right.
um, we do have a person where there's two people that are available right now to uh, train on the bus. We do have somebody that is certified from the state that would do it on the side with social distancing and so on and so forth, all those precautions. Um, I'm working on it with Jeannie. Um, we would pay that person $200 to do it, and they would train the three trainers, the three drivers that want to drive it. I'm already certified, so I'm right now able to do that because I've had all this wheelchair certification through the first student. So that person is certified to train through the state of New Hampshire. So we can talk about that a little bit later amongst us. So has everybody read this manual? Because there's some things in it that we don't necessarily need, but there's a lot in here that we could use with language as far as our safety and some of their policies and things. Have
I
you?
have not seen that manual yet, Pat. Is there a link? Can I get it online?
Well, I thought I sent it to everybody in an email. Did you not get it?
Well,
It's called Cat.
I'll go
Well,
back and
I
check,
think,
but I don't
hold on.
remember seeing it.
We can
I can
put it
send it
up.
to you.
We can put it up on the screen if you'd like.
Not all,
It's
only certain parts that you need to read though, Iris.
Yeah, there's only certain parts. So, but um, where Sandy, you can't see, correct?
Right.
Okay. Have you read it?
Yes, I have.
Okay. So
I've read it.
And I just want to just to let you
go
know
ahead.
too that this is it is Concord area transit property that we're looking at. I just thought it may be helpful for you folks to take a look at it. Just take what pieces out of it you want. Other pieces aren't going to matter at all, right? Some
Right.
are going to be specific to our agency. So I thought it may be helpful, but just
Right.
bear in mind it is cat property, so we want to just be mindful of that.
It's your property. I didn't hear what you're
Right.
saying.
Yeah, the manual is,
Proprietary. Right.
yes, you,
Okay.
just
Yes,
keep that in mind.
we need to be mindful of that. So
Right.
this is so keep it. Do not email it to anyone else. This is just our property right now. So we're just taking it from here and just adapting a couple of things. So let me see if I can't put it up on the screen.
I have one question. Are we required to stop at railroad crossings?
Yes.
Okay.
So seeing as I'm not back yet anyways to take the driving and to be certified, then would it be okay if I just read those once I get home? It might be another 2 months now, because if they open up and the virus spreads again, then I won't be flying anytime soon. I looked into renting an RV so I could be self-contained and drive home, and they're like $2,500 just to do the trip from here to home. So I'm not going to do that either.
So to answer your question, Iris, you are eligible to drive. So if you can get a medical card, so you go to the physician that we send you to, occupational health, and they clear you to drive, okay? Which you have a valid license. Um, some of the things that they don't clear you if your blood pressure is off the charts. Let me think of another one. Sleep apnea, and you're not abiding by any of the, you're not using any of the machinery that they supply, that prescribe to you. If you have heart issues that are not being attended to, there's
Like I have a pacemaker and that's okay.
so like a pacemaker is okay because you're being attended to. Blood pressure is okay as long as you're being attended to by your physician. So there's a lot of things, a lot of issues, but uh, like if you have a sleep disorder, that's not okay, and they
Yeah,
won't give you a medical card. Um, if you look it up on the DOT, New Hampshire Department of Transportation under medical cards, there's a long series of things that you won't get. But if I can get it with lupus and all of the other issues that I have, most likely you and everybody else will be able to. So
yeah,
you're eligible to drive. So as soon as you come back, we are going to be able to put you in as a volunteer driver and get a medical card. And then as long as we have a policy in place that the selectmen approve, then we'll have we'll have the vehicle is going to be housed at the senior center. We're going to have a gas card. There's going to be in this somehow in this policy is going to be about the gas and the gas usage and all of that, and when to get gas and all that, and then um, who, what, and where drives. So yes, you'll be absolutely eligible to drive. Does that answer
okay,
your question?
yeah.
Okay.
And Pat, will there be anything where, uh, or should there be a policy that driving uh, background is checked out so that we're all cleared by by whoever? That's what I was trying to think of how to say it. In other words, like, that besides the certification, should people have a clean driving record, in other words?
Yes. Yes. So, and that is one of the things in here that CAP has is a clean, driving
Background check.
background check. So when you go to get your license, they have to part of that is a clean driving license. They go back
Okay,
and check it. And there's a form too that we can require that um, you have a allowing us to check that
okay.
driving record.
That's good, because eventually there might be more people that want to drive, so we, obviously, they'll have to be certified, but besides that, we'll want to make sure that they're actually good to drive.
Right.
In order to have a valid driver's license, don't you have to have that anyway?
Yeah, but you can get a valid driver's thing even if you've been stopped for speeding and everything else.
Well, yeah, and to that point is you could be on the tail end of your driving license. You could have a valid driver's license in 2000. I don't know what year it is, but and then the next month get an infraction, a serious infraction, and your license isn't due for the next 4.5 years. And in that time, if you volunteer, you've
So
got
you
that
have to have one
infraction.
every year?
No, no, no. So let's say you have some type of an infraction that's not serious enough to take your license away, but it's serious enough for something for that would not be able to drive for us, but it wouldn't show up.
Like a speeding ticket.
You could make it part of your policy that anyone will come forward if they've had any kind of infraction. That's up to someone to relay that information to you. That will protect you, I think, maybe with your insurance.
Right. Right. Just, I guess I'm going along with what Jane is saying. Just because you have a driver's license doesn't mean you have no infractions, because a driver's license is 5 years. There's a span of 5 years. So within that 5 years, something could happen that you're still holding a driver's license. You could have a speeding infraction, which in my estimation could stop you from driving a van full of seniors.
Right.
Okay, so Tim, are you listening here?
Yes.
So I wanna share this document so that Iris and can see. So if I hit on share screen,
Yep.
and then it says your entire screen, application window, or Chrome tab.
So where do you have the document on your system? Is it in one of your tabs?
It's in one of my emails.
All right. So what I would recommend is go to your email, pull it up first, and then click on share your screen, and it should show you one of those boxes that comes up will show your the document.
Okay, hold on a minute.
And for anyone wanting to look at the document when she gets it up on the screen, there's usually a little control that allows you to move the people's heads to one side, depending upon how you're looking at them now, so that you can maximize the real estate, the screen real estate for the document that she's going to share. There you go.
All right, can you see it? How do I get back
Yeah,
to the? So how do I
Yep.
get back to seeing what you're seeing? No, I can't see you
Well,
guys.
we're seeing now you're scrolling between the title page and the table of contents.
All right.
that's actually me. I'm doing that. I'm scrolling up.
No, I am.
Oh, you are too?
Yep. All right.
Oh, well,
So
maybe I wasn't. Maybe it was you.
all right. So hold on a minute. I'll tell you where I first clicked on
Here's a page.
under 5. So this is all paid money here. So where I first was the job description, and not this job description, but I felt that we needed a job description for our drivers.
Okay.
So we have to come up with some type of job description for our drivers. And then it comes into training, and that this one here says employees are trained in the CAP, which I'm hopefully that Cindy will allow us to take their training when this COVID is all up done. And then the operation of vehicles, and again, I'll talk later about this certified person. We don't have two-way radios. And then all the training, we have some Primex training that will come down. So we would have to, policy and procedure training. So we would list the training here. So the sake of Sandy and her documenting what we need in a policy, we would need job description, and we would need training. And then very important, under additional training is, this is very important the way this is written here. Training in defensive driving, passenger assistant techniques in emergency evacuation, and is required for all employees who may, as part of their job and passenger need of assistance. So it would be, is required of all volunteer drivers who may, as part of their job, aid passengers in need of assistance. So handling wheelchairs on and off lifts, up and down steps and ramps, in and out of doorways, and safety aspects of the wheelchair. Guidelines for transporting disabled persons, and awareness of paralysis and sensory deficits, the operations of lifts, ramps, and wheelchair securement devices. They also cover issues related to sensitivity to the elderly and disabled, including characteristics of the aging process, major disabling conditions, common devices used to assist elderly persons, canes, walkers, wheelchairs. So this is very important. Time sheets we can skip over, cost of living, holidays, snow days. Although we may, let's keep,
Shouldn't we keep time
Sit-
sheets?
You will want to have some way to track volunteers.
say that again, Cindy.
You will want to have some way, whether you have time sheets or not, however you guys do that.
Like
You're
a
gonna
log
want
sheet?
something
Okay.
that tracks,
In case
that,
we
you know,
want
today was Iris, tomorrow was Pat, you know.
that's what I was saying.
So we would not call it a timesheet, but like a time
A
log.
log.
Yes, that makes sense. Or driving log.
Driving log, okay. And then,
That
so
would be important to keep track of mileage as well as time.
I can't hear you way over there.
Okay.
Jane's bugging out for a cigarette.
No, I'm not.
Yeah. So
So in that driving log, you'll want mileage put down, you want times put down. Are you going to want actual names of stops or people that are picked up?
there's a schedule coming up, that I think that we would put the, logs and people picking up and things like that, Iris. This under logs, well, I think under here, you would probably put the time that you start, the route that you took, and the time ended. And then if you took like a midday or late evening, like music,
And the number of passengers.
and the
that would
number
be
of
important,
and
not
the number
names.
of passengers, not names, but the number of passengers.
Okay.
I would think that would be. What do you think, Cindy?
It wouldn't be a bad, I know that somewhere you're going to want to have the passengers' names. Just to say that there was a fender bender and 3 months after it happened, someone has some issues and they're filing an insurance claim against you, you're going to want to have that documentation that that person was actually on the bus. So you are going to want to have some names, the names on there of who you're picking up.
Okay. But you're gonna help us with those logs though, correct?
Right, right. We're just gonna track whatever actually happens. That's what we're tracking. You know, this person was the driver and these people were picked up going to this location and, you know, we're just gonna, and for this purpose. So that's really
Okay.
what we're gonna track.
I get you. All right. So then we need to call it like a timesheet then. But it's
Or a driver manifest or even in that driver log.
Transportation law.
okay. So a driver manifest would be perfect because that's exactly what it is. It's not. A timesheet indicates to me that it's paid.
Mm-mm.
There's volunteer timesheets too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's just leave it that then. That's good. I didn't. Okay. I come from a world of ad nauseum timesheets. All right. So, okay. Do we want to have like a snow day policy in our it's some type of snow day? If it is snowing, that this is what's going to happen, and this is what we will do. If it snows, we'll put out an alert Tilton or whatever and say the bus is not running today.
Yeah, we have to do that because we have to decide too, at what kind of snow is going to prevent us from actually doing anything. Is it going to be, more than 2 inches? Is it going to be if it's an ice storm, So, or we could just say if the school bus drivers, like a lot of places do, if the schools aren't running and the bus drivers aren't running, then we won't be running either.
Okay. So annual leaves, we have nothing to do. Sick leave, drug and alcohol. All right. Drug and alcohol policy we would need. It doesn't. It.
Testing.
So
Are you guys gonna have a drug and alcohol policy? Are you gonna require testing
we
for your
don't.
driver?
We don't require testing, but we require the medical card. Therefore, we require that there's no alcohol and drugs.
Does the medical card, when they do that, are they asked? So I guess I'm asking the question because I haven't been through the medical card physical. Does the doctor ask you those questions?
Say that again, Cindy, because I didn't quite hear that.
So I've not been through the medical card physical.
It's all part of when you go in for a medical card, the very first thing they do is do a urine test. And the
Oh,
urine test is two parts. One is for well, one is not necessarily just for alcohol and drugs. One is for uh, diabetes.
okay.
All right, so it's twofold for that purpose, but they do test for. It depends on what the employee requests.
Mm-hmm.
So there's different things. There's a pre-employment. There's a suspicion, or there's an accident. So if they go back up after an accident and they do a medical exam, they're going to check for drugs. If you're going up for a DOT physical, they're going to do a urine and they're going to check for a couple of things. Number one is they're going to check for uses of opiates, drugs, and or diabetes. I went up. Mine was renewed recently, and they found blood in the urine, and they immediately said, "Pat, I think you should follow up with your uh, primary on this." It was just a red flag for them.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't exclude me from the medical card, but they were cautious, and they said, Pat, I think you should follow. It was nothing, but they they looked at that and they said, you think we should? A couple years ago when I went for it, they said you have too much protein in your urine. I mean, that's what they look for.
Right.
And then after they do that, they do an eye test. And the eye test is you stand, I think it's 6 feet, and you put one hand over your eye and you look at the chart, and then you put your one hand on the other eye and do that, and then you touch your toes, and then you meet with the doctor, and they look over the list of your medications that you're taking, and they ask you random questions about yourself and what you do and how you do your job and things like that. What excludes you from doing your job that you're doing, and that's it. I mean, that it's not, it's kind of painless. And I have a lot of medical issues, and so they ask you about those kinds of things, what would inhibit you from doing your job. I mean, I have severe arthritis in my hands, and I say, you know, how can you grip your steering wheel with your hands when you have them, 4 out of your 5 knuckles are fused? Well, here, let me grip your hands, and I showed them. So, oh yeah, you can do it, and that's what they do. So I don't think it's impossible for anybody to do that.
No, we have a separate, we have to take, so all of our drivers, well, actually every employee has to do a separate drug and alcohol test for pre-employment.
Yep, right. And we do too for the town of Tilton. We do as an employee. They have to do that, and Public Works has to do a medical card on top of that, which we include with the pre-employment. So if they already have a medical card, we don't. If it's an active medical card, we don't need to do it. But yes, we do. Every employee has to do it.
And would you require all your volunteer drivers to do that? I guess
We
it's-
haven't discussed that yet with the board, whether they will do that with the drivers yet. Haven't got to that point because we said we were working on a policy, and we don't know whether they'll include that with that yet, Cindy. And I was trying to get a framework together before we brought that up, but that is a possibility.
Okay, yeah, makes sense.
Right. Okay, so um, uh, tips and gifts, normally we don't, um, I mean, in a world of where we get paid, we're not allowed to do that. I don't know if that would be an issue here. So we have a policy as far as the town of Tilton, we're not allowed to accept it. So I would say that that would not be allowed going forward in conjunction with what the town policy is.
Yeah, we can always say that, for people that really want to pay back, like there always are some, we'll just tell them to do the donation to the Tilton Senior Center and do it through the town hall.
Right. So it's not a personal type of gift to
Right.
you. Right.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So now they have a section here that is establishing the routes, the route adherence, detours, the run changes, the schedule. We don't know yet what we're going to do with the van. We haven't decided what the van, we kind of got a really good idea of what we want to do with the van. We want to be able to set up a day to pick up seniors and take them on a scheduled the first Wednesday or Friday every month to go to Walmart and Market Basket. However, we don't have a scheduled route to pick them up because we don't yet know how many people would take advantage of that. We got a pretty good idea of how many people Cindy's shopping for right now, so we have a pretty good idea of how many people would probably do that. But
I haven't had anyone in Tilton yet.
yeah, so we would know that we would go out and pick up people for the music, um, and then we would do events, but we don't really know about. We would want to put something in the policy, I think, for operating procedures, established routes, and we would want the volunteer that's driving not to veer off from that given route, uh, obviously because it's money and time. This this vehicle is not a free for all. We have to answer to the town of Tilton and the taxpayers how we're using it.
Right. Are we planning to do anything about, I mean, I know we have the volunteer driver program, but is there going to be anything in place because this will be handicap accessible, about taking people to either doctors or hospital visits?
Yes, that's definitely a possibility. That's very much a possibility, and also it's very much a possibility reaching some type of uh, MOU with Community Action. They've got a couple of people up in this area that need assistance with wheelchair. So yes, that is a possibility. Absolutely.
Okay.
Yep. Yep. So there's these two things here. Transfer points. Um, Let me go back here because boarding and discharging passengers is extremely important because it's not like a bus where you have the stop sign out and it's blinking red. And trust me, I can't even tell you how many people in a day while I'm unloading a wheelchair ramp on the side of the road, and I've got flashes flashing and the wheelchairs coming down, and people are going right by me. They don't care. I can't, maybe a half a dozen a day in the Guilford area, and you can take down their license plate all day long if you want. It's disgusting. So we have to be very, very, very careful of where we are in the town and where we're unloading our discharging, boarding, and exiting. And because this is a backloading van where the ramp is in the back, you have to be very careful because you're not going to see those lights.
Yeah.
So we have to have something written up, and it has to be very precise on what we do.
Will that
Okay,
be part of the training though, right?
this needs to be part of the training, correct? Yep.
Yeah.
You'll all get this. It has to be part of the training. So in the
Yeah.
tra- in tra- but it has to also be part of the policy because so the biggest question is if this training, which I was really disgusted to find out is not required because we're a municipality, what holds that person liable? So how do we hold that person accountable if in fact this person's a volunteer driver. So Iris, you're a volunteer driver, and no disrespect to you whatsoever, but you're a volunteer driver. You want to drive for us, and your heart's in the right place. But I'm giving you a piece of paper, and I'm telling you, and I'm showing you how to load and unload, and you're paying attention, and maybe it takes 5 hours or 6 hours to show you exactly what to do, and you go away and you forget half of what you've learned. unless you're a
Yeah.
hands kind of person. And down the road, months, 2 years, whatever, you forget to do one or two of those things and something happens. Who's held accountable for that? Is it the town of Tilton that's held accountable, or is that person held accountable? Well, in this circumstances, it's the town of Tilton because you're volunteering for us. So we have to be
Right.
very, very careful that in that policy that you've learned what you've learned, and there's got to
Right.
be a checkpoint at somewhere along the line. There has to be continuing training to do that. Even though it's
Mhm.
not required, we as an executive committee, we as a town, me as a selectman, have to require that to happen.
Well, we should just have yearly, once a year that you have to go over and do almost like a recertification, where you have to go and actually show an operation that you know how to do it still. And then,
Right,
I mean, something of that nature, because
right,
you have to, I mean, most places you have to be recertified every so many years. In our case, we can make it yearly. It's up to us how much we want to do it.
right, exactly. I mean, CAPS drivers are really held to a very high standard. I mean, as a bus driver, we're held to a really high standard for a very low pay. And
Hmm.
it's for what we do, holding, we're accountable for somebody's lives. It's amazing. I shudder sometimes when there's snow on the ground and nobody's called it out, and I'm going down a hill sideways. I'm tell you how many times I've bitten my tongue because I want to curse out loud.
Yeah,
It's when you have somebody's child in your hands in your life, and it's like, oh, and now we're assuming that responsibility onto a volunteer now.
right.
So
Right.
we have to take accountability. So, all right, now we get into leaving the bus while in service. So we have to be with it at all times.
Okay.
All right, and then most companies have an idling policy. Um, I've always avoided at all costs, and I'm special needs, so I can get away with not having an idling policy. Um, but we should have it. We
Well,
really should. I understand why it should be.
so, but is our bus the type, like I know some trucks have to stay idling or else it takes them forever to get going again, but is that the same with our bus, or is our bus really basically like a car? You just start it up and you go.
No, it's a diesel, so um, it needs to. So with the diesel, you need to start it. You need to in the winter, you need to turn it on. There's a glow plug, what they call a glow plug, and then there's a light that comes on, and you have to wait a second or two, and then the glow plug will say, okay to start, and then you start it. And then once it's on, it'll take a little while to heat up. And a lot of the diesel engines take a while to heat up. And that's why people say, well, I'm not going to shut it off because I'll be freezing by then. But uh,
Okay.
the newer ones, I'm not in the winter. I mean, I drove it back and it was cold. I tried them all. I tried the air conditioner on. I put the heat on. It came right on. We're not gonna
Yeah.
have an issue with this at all.
Okay.
So, I mean, it has air conditioner in it, and it has there's my dog. Um, it has air in it, and beautiful speakers in it, by the way, and heat comes right on. So I don't think we'll have a problem with that at all. But idling,
Okay.
and that's the reason why they want. And you want to heat the oil up first. So that's kind of why they don't want you to keep it idling, because it's diesel, does something to the engine. So for a
Okay.
long period of time. So if you're at shopping, you don't want to keep it idling for excessive time. The hour that they're in shopping, you want to shut it off.
Okay.
There
And
are going to be sometimes when we have animals, because there will be a service animal now and again. We want to keep that in there. What we don't want is somebody's everyday animal in there, because
right.
people will be allergic to animals. Baggage and articles, we have to really consider um, and this is, I love the way they put it. Due to their size, would restrict free movement of passengers, or dangerous or offensive to other passengers are not permitted. So you just really don't realize even the slightest thing, like a water bottle, and somebody puts a water bottle on the seat, and you take a corner, and it will roll down. I've had them roll down and actually land underneath my gas pedal.
Oh, good.
So yeah, and it's, so now you have walkers, you have wheelchairs, you have canes. You have to make sure that all of those are secured on a bus so that they're not going to roll when you take a corner.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah.
Groceries, when they go, we're going to have to make sure that there's plenty of room on the bus, but maybe we can make sure that we have an area where we have bungees or something like that with groceries or whatever, that they're secured, so that they're not
Yeah. We
falling
might
over.
want to think about limiting the number of bags. I know they do that on some of the senior buses now and other places where you can only, when you go food shopping, you can't have 25 bags. You can only bring on X number. So we might want to think about putting that into the policy.
Limiting the bags.
Yeah.
So
Join the
over
meeting.
here, it's limited to the number that a person can comfortably carry. So some folks can carry 6 bags comfortably, others can only carry 2, and it is up to the individual. That's kind of that's how we list it, is how you can, the number that you can comfortably carry, because you're keeping them with
Okay.
you on the bus.
Yeah, that's a good idea. So what you can comfortably carry. Jane was saying usually, well, she's doing that program now that you shop for the seniors, and she's saying that usually they don't have too many bags to shop for. So
Okay.
it may be a couple of bags would probably be the limit anyway. Okay, let's move down. Um, Lost articles, we need to put that in. Um, so we would need to say we'll check at the senior center, have a little place with the senior center. Um, for lost articles. Poor Sandy's
Okay.
going to have a couple of weeks writing all this up. So,
May I remind everyone to please tell me who you are when you start talking?
Oh, okay. That's Iris.
yeah,
Thank you.
just announce yourself when you talk. Do you know who I am? Oh no,
No,
Pat.
I know who you are, and I thought it was Iris, but depending on how garbled the phone starts getting, I can't always tell.
Okay. So, illness or injury of the passenger, even though we don't need some of what's in here, we do have to have that as a category, because things will happen. We need to report it. If an incident happens on the bus, obviously it needs to be cleaned up. We need to make sure that there's a very special procedure in case anybody, gets sick on the bus. So we can use this as a category and we can pull from it. Um, Attention to duty. Absolutely, positively no use of cell phones. Um, so that would be, as a bus operator, you must not permit anything to divert your attention from the safe and proper performance of your duty. Holding unnecessary conversation, using cell phones, looking backwards, reading, lounging with one foot of the floor, eating or drinking, adjusting equipment, changing destination signs, writing on the trip sheet, resting your arm on the fare box, well, we don't have one, while the bus is in motion are all prohibited. Use layover time and stops for these activities. So we could change that, but 90% of it is absolutely imperative that we have on there.
Right. It's Iris and I agree.
Under safety, absolutely, I'm going to change the wording, but if the bus is not safe to run, or it's the duty of the bus driver to report it and take it out of service. So absolutely. Leaving the driver's seat. If you're out of the driver's seat, set your four-way flashes must be on and your bus be shut off.
I think that's all important.
Yep. That leaving the driver's seat is important. I agree with that. Railroad crossings is absolutely.
There's an RSA, as a matter of fact.
However, I don't know about one thing on the RSA in there's so yes, absolutely the railroad crossing it's a must. You have to stop. You have to put your four ways on. You have to be at least 15 feet away, but no more than 50 feet. You have to shut everything off. You have to open your door. You have to look, listen, and then proceed, and then shut your door. I mean, look, listen, and proceed. And you have to make sure everybody in the bus is quiet. So when you have 55 kids on a bus, you have to make sure you don't proceed unless they're quiet. Um, there was one thing on here. And I didn't.
This is Jane, and I have a question. It said there when people were dismounting, you could ask them to go to the back of the bus to go. What's the recommendation there?
There's two.
To go around the back of the bus. I mean, it's a fairly small bus, and I wondered if that's feasible for us to do. I would think it would be.
No, there's no exit to the back of the bus unless there's
No, go around the bus. That's what the booklet said. Ask them to go instead of walking in front of the bus, dismounting and going in front of the bus, go behind the bus.
I would not recommend, personally, I would not recommend that only because there's not mirrors to the back of the bus. There's
Okay.
mirrors in the front of the bus.
Okay, it was saying that because a car would see people in the back and they wouldn't see them coming around the front of the bus.
Okay.
I was just a question as to what we should do.
What do you think, Cindy?
Excuse me, I was eating your yogurt. Um, so Jane's absolutely right. So if they are exiting the bus and they're crossing, say they have to cross the street when they get off the bus, to do it behind the bus, the cars that are behind the bus are going to see that person behind the bus crossing.
Yeah.
Whereas if they were in front of the bus crossing, someone behind you, behind the bus, is not going to see them coming out until they're in that lane.
But
So
there's
that's,
no way of you, there's no way of you to tell them it's safe or not to cross because you're not going to be able to see them.
There we go. Here, here.
I don't understand the question. Oh, you're worried about you hitting them?
No, I'm worried about the person crossing and then all of a sudden a car is coming. You can see that car coming through your mirror, but you can't warn that person because you can't see that person whether the person started walking or not.
So you're talking like a two-way road and the person coming the opposite direction, they hit them. Is that where you're?
Right.
Well, you're pulled off to the side of the road. So they first have to cross your lane first, right? So they're,
Mhm.
so in theory, they could see anyone coming. You're a professional driver, Pat. Whatever you decide to do makes sense to me. But I can see both ways, right? I can see whatever you decide for the policy will be the policy, but I can see there is rationale for both ways to do it.
Okay. I think it depends on the circumstances.
Yeah, and maybe.
We'll have to take a look at that. There are blind spots in this bus, and we don't have the you don't have the visual in the back of the bus that you would normally have in like a big van because you have the wheelchair that's folded up, which blocks your sight of vision in the back of the van. So we'll look at it.
Yeah, I'm gonna
When
defer
this
to
is
you.
over, we're all gonna take a ride in it anyway.
Right.
We're gonna party on it first. But there was one place that I marked on here that I'll find it. It's not important because we're gonna go over it anyway many times before this is written. But so this is always expect a train. This always needs to be put in. This is a requirement of the law. So this whole section needs to be put in there. We have to stop at at a railroad track. And there's many in Tilton, many. Whether they're exempt or not, you have to stop. Yeah, I was just going to get to that. And then this is what Jane is talking about under customer crossing in front of the bus.
Right.
And Cap is saying, do not encourage this behavior. Cars behind you may attempt to pass. This is a high likelihood that they will hit your rider. Encourage riders to cross behind the bus.
My only input onto this is Sandy, would be the fact that by having the people in the back, I agree with Pat, the driver can't see them to know what they're doing. She may see and unsafe situation about to materialize, and she has no idea what the people are doing. Plus the cars that are coming the opposite direction towards the school bus, they're not going to see these people until they're partially by the school bus on their way, you know, when they step out. So I think more than anything is most people know in their minds that when the bus puts the lights on and you stop, the kids or adults, whatever it might be, usually do pass on the front side of the school bus.
It's not a school bus, though, Sandy.
No,
Well, I know, but even regular buses. You know, I used to take the Concord bus down to Boston Airport all the time, and he even wanted us, if we had to cross over the one time, he wanted everyone to walk in front of the bus and cross.
this is Pat again.
Yeah.
I think we have valid points on both sides, but from a selectman standpoint, and only from a selectman standpoint, we're trying to write a policy, and if we put this in a policy that says something to the effect, just like it's written now, do not encourage this behavior, and something happens, then we have it written in stone, and that person said, well, you told me to do this. Now the town is liable for it.
Right.
And I don't want that to come back on us. I would rather leave that to the capability of the adults that are walking behind or in front of the bus on their own accord than to have us tell them what's safe and what's not safe. Otherwise, we're responsible for that, because you could look at it both ways. I think that would be one for us to check to see what to do on that case, because I can see it both. I can see what Jane and Cindy are saying here, but my little antennas as a selectman are saying, "Oh, wait a minute! I can see this coming back to bite us in the policy."
Well, this little antenna who got run over by a car will never go in front of a car. I will always go behind it.
The other thing, though, is we do have the assurance, and I would highly recommend that once we get the policy written the way we want it, that a town attorney would be going over it for any of those loopholes or traps that we might not realize were there.
I agree with that, Sandy. That's the intent.
Yes.
So we will put a couple of asterisks next to this one, and let's question this one.
Okay.
This is Iris, but one thing we have to think about, I mean, this is not a school bus. We're not going to have the same rights to be able to have flashing on and cars to stop because of it.
That's a good point, Iris. I don't dismiss what Jane and you are saying at all. It's a valid point. All right.
Moving right along.
All right, reporting vehicular safety and reporting vehicle damage, we need to have that in. Two-way radio, we don't. Unless we get down the road, we get a donation of a two-way radio. That would be wonderful.
Purple snowish.
The radio, the AM, FM, CD radio, I think we need to put that in. Cleanliness, I think we need to put that in. Personal appearance, Footwear, when they talk about footwear, that's required by the state. You cannot wear open toe. Even though we're not required by the state, it really should be a policy in the policy.
Yeah, this is Iris. I agree on that one, definitely.
If a ramp comes down on you, you'll know it. Smoking, let's put that in. Workplace violence, yeah,
Put that in.
especially with my buddy Jane on me. No. They knew it, Jane. They
I
knew
know.
exactly what they were talking
I
about.
know.
So true. So
Oh,
true.
Jim too, see? All right. Okay. So then, questions? Yep. Well, see,
Okay, this is Iris. I have a question about, did you mean questions now or questions on what you said?
no, there's a question category here. See it?
Well,
But go ahead. Say what you were going to say.
well, it's going to be parked at the senior center, but my question is, where are the keys going to be? How many sets of keys are they going to be? And who is going to pay for replacement of lost if necessary?
We're losing.
Well, that's a very good question. We haven't even decided on that yet. We have a couple of sets of keys. Um, I think there are 3 sets of keys total.
One should be kept at town hall.
I think one should be kept at town hall at all times.
Yes, I agree.
The other should be kept at the senior center, which would mean the volunteer should have a key to the senior center. I think that's all to be determined. I don't really, those are very good questions.
Okay.
Right
Well,
now,
I just wanted to bring it up because I wanted to make sure because, you know, talking to my daughter and son-in-law here, you know, and we were talking about keys and she was saying, well, Mom, don't forget if they have the clicker, those are $500 to replace. Who's going to pay for that? If they, I mean, because things do happen, some things do get lost, but just to be sure, you know, and I said, that's true. I'll bring that up.
yeah, that's a good point because,
No remote though, ours.
no, it's a regular key. Well, it is a click on, click off.
Oh, it is
Yeah, it's
to unlock it.
like ours, like the
Oh,
Nissan.
but you can use a key too.
You
Not
can use the
keyless.
key. Someone's in there. Someone's in there. So, yeah,
Go, go, right now.
I got a dog in trouble.
Go.
All right, so, yeah, that's a good point. So, keys, who,
Get in there. Go.
where,
Behave.
and
Don't wag that tail at me.
the loss of them. Oh, 2 dogs in trouble.
Just for your knowledge, it's one of Pat's dogs.
My dogs. All right, so we don't need the route and schedule. Fire extinguishers, absolutely, that's a requirement. Uh, so just put this in as these are things that we have to put in. So fire extinguisher. I thought this was a pretty good section.
First aid kit.
Yeah, that goes, it's down here further. Um, passenger relations, that would understanding and the relation skills, that's very good to have. Um, the importance of passenger relations, you as a professional. Profession. All of this, I think, is really important. And so accidents, I think we have to check with our insurance to find out what the policy is, but we do have to have an accident and incident section. Definitely a prevention of accidents, accidents procedure.
All right, Pat, I've lost you. Where are you guys now? This is Sandy.
I'm on, can you hear me?
Yes.
So I'm
Are
on
you
the,
still?
I'm on section 4, accidents and incidents.
Oh, okay. I was still on 3.
Okay, so section 3, passenger relations we need to keep. We need to make that part of our policy.
What was the title of that section?
The whole section.
Okay, so
Section
everything
5,
under.
all
Okay, so everything under employee incident, customer suggestions, violations. Am I still with you?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay. So now we're gonna scroll down. We're gonna keep everything in section 3. There's 4 pages of it.
Right. Okay.
And then now we're gonna go into accidents and incidents. And I said we're gonna check with the insurance company to exactly what they would like in our policy. But we need something that's gonna say the employee incident report and the custom violations, prevention of accidents, the accident procedure itself. And
So
what
it looks like, yeah, this whole section and then a few suggestions that you've made.
right.
Okay.
Now, section 5, Cindy has included here in the back is a vehicle log, and it has fuel. It incorporates a fuel log right at the very end. I'll show it to you. So we definitely need a fuel log. Now, pre-trip inspection, we do not do that per a CDL. People need to do that every single day. We need to write in the driver vehicle inspection report. We have a computerized version of that. However, the municipality are not required to do that, but we want to keep in where we want to keep in pre-trip inspection. Cindy, correct me if I'm wrong. We would want to keep in the vehicle overview, the start the engine and inspect the interior. Number 1, 2, 3, 4, and we want to
Yeah.
make sure, because that's really basic everyday things. We want to make sure that everything is working properly. So I'm not sure that we would expect people to open the hood up and check the belts and the fluid levels. But I would hope that people would get in and do a basic before they take off and ride. Required to look at the vehicle, look to see if there's any dents, scratches, or whatever, body damage, look under the vehicle for leaks, make sure that there's enough oil in it and gas, make sure that the windshield's not cracked or broken, and make sure that there's all of the bells, whistles, the windshield wipers, the washers are operational, the dash lights, interior lights, defrosters are all working. Um, make sure that there's the fire extinguisher, make sure that there's the warning triangles, the first aid kit, and absolutely make sure that the vehicle registration is in the car and the insurance card at all times.
And that is bad.
And that you check make sure that the high beams and the lights, those things need to be checked every time you go out. And if there's something wrong with the vehicle during your trip, that you write it down somewhere and report it so we can send it to Kevin and Kevin can fix it for us. So yes, we need this. Do we need to check for, go in and actually do a oil dipstick thing? I mean, I would, that's up to us, right? That's up to the executive committee whether we're going to require that or not.
It's really important in diesel.
I mean, Jane's saying it's really important in diesel. She's way in the kitchen to say it, but she's yelling to me to transfer that over to you.
And this is Cindy, and especially since multiple drivers are going to be driving, it's not like jumping in your own vehicle where you know how it behaved yesterday. Something could have happened with the prior driver that today's driver isn't aware of.
Right.
So, but I would not necessarily know how to check wheel seals are not leaking oil, or there's a few things on here that I'm not quite sure I would know how, but I'm sure it's a quick training.
Right. I'm sure that they're not going to go under and check the exhaust system, but you can hear it. Right. Exactly. We can kind of tweak it a little bit, but 99% of what's on here should be checked daily. And if something's broken, we need to know it. And so this is very important that we keep this in here.
So this is Iris. So two things on that last part. Yeah, I think that myself personally, I don't think that the registration and insurance should be left in the vehicle overnight, because if it's stolen, and I know it's a big vehicle, that the cops are going to know which one it is, but I just would feel better if, along with the keys, those two items got put into the senior center at the end of the day. So that's one concern, and we can discuss that. The other thing is, I think if you're going to do a log sheet, then each one of those items should probably have a place where there could be a check mark, and it should be done when you pick up the vehicle and also when you turn it in at the end of the day. And that's just to remind people to go through and make sure nothing was left in there that shouldn't be, and that something didn't happen that they didn't think, oh yeah, I got to write that down or something.
That's a great idea. We could have a Jane's having a conniption over here. She doesn't think it's a good idea. But if we did have a list of things to remind people to check, like just a list to say, have you checked these things? That would be a good idea. And
I
then,
think there should be a separate list. That's why I was having a conniption. I don't think it should be on the log. I think there should be a second checklist, should be on a clipboard, and it should be hanging in the bus. So when you get onto the bus, you can pick that up and check it off.
with their initials.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That
this is Iris. That sounds good. I mean, it's just a matter of just doing check marks as you walk down the bus and say, okay, this is all taken care of. And when you sit down in the driver's seat, okay, windshield's working, whatever else you have to check. And then at the end of the day, just reverse it. And I think it's just a good reminder because there might be people who just might forget to do that.
Okay.
I was glad we were having a camera because I thought when Pat says I'm having a connection fit, you could observe it. Now there's no camera.
Well, this. Oh. Can you see us?
I can see you.
Okay. We can't see you because I've got the description in front of us. Uh, anyway, she's having trouble with her legs, so she's walking. She's pacing behind me. All right. So I think that's a great idea, having a log next to it instead of you checked all these things and then they initial it next to it, the date or whatever. And they've initialed it. Now we know the drivers checked that. Uh,
Yeah.
most buses, I don't even Granite State Living. I don't know about CAP, but Cindy, speak up. Keep the registration but they keep it in their facilities are secured. Ours is not secured, so you might have a point, Iris.
Yeah, I don't think they're kept in the box. This is Cindy.
I think that bringing it in, if we have if
People forget to get it and they take it out.
if we have a key in the envelope with the registration and insurance in the envelope, all they got to do is take the envelope in the bus, take the key out, and then put it back in the exact same place they took it,
We could get a little zipper bag like they have at the
like the bank.
bank. Yeah.
And
Yeah,
then just
that's a good idea.
right. Okay. So bus stop, daily ridership. No, we don't need that. Bus stop description. So we'll be going to people's homes. Um, so when we go to people's homes and pick them up, we have to first check it out because there are some that are not going to be conducive to picking up a bus. I mean, Cindy, you must come across this.
I can check with Terry to see if there's locations in Tilton that we just can't go to. I haven't heard of any.
Okay. Because, sometimes the driveway is you can't turn a small bus like this around in their driveway, or you ask them to come down at the bottom of the driveway. Uh, you have to back it out or whatever. So check it out before we go, so you don't get stuck in that driveway, so you know how to approach it safely, so you're not backing the bus out into traffic. So I think that we need to figure out safely when we get a call and say, hey, can you pick me up on that Wednesday that you're going to go to Market Basket or Walmart? We need to know first and take a drive out and see if we can't figure out how that stop can be approached. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So Pat, this is Ira. So
Yeah.
one of the things that I'm wondering if we need to have this written up anywhere is exactly what the driver is going to be allowed to do. Obviously, when it comes to somebody in a wheelchair, we have to be the one putting them on. But if not, then how will we be covered for help? Will we be allowed to help people in and out up the stairs? And then if that person gets hurt because of that, where are we? Because I know like when I drive for CAP, we're not allowed to do any of that stuff. Basically, they have to get in and out themselves. You can take their wheelchair and put it in your car, or you can take their crutches from them. But or they're walkers, but basically we're not supposed to actually physically help anybody. So I don't know how that works for this.
I think that's important because if we start picking up people, we are going to have people who aren't strong enough to walk up the steps by themselves in some cases. And I'm saying that by having driven senior drivers just in a personal vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
No, this is Pat. I think you're absolutely right because we have, if they cannot be mobile enough to do that, um, they're not going to be able to ride on it. We can't put ourselves in jeopardy to do it. We just can't do it. You can't lift them. You can't do it.
I know that this is Jane in particular. I used to take a senior shopping, and it got to the point that she could not get in and out of the car. I had to lift her, and I'm not able to do that now. So, I mean, I think we've got to be cognizant of who we're picking up too.
Right? And lending an elbow is much different than lifting someone out too.
How does CAP handle that, Cindy, on the bus?
If people are, I can check with Terry to see how far, but for the most part, they are doing their own things. In particular, the bus. Now, if someone has trouble with the stairs, they can absolutely use the lift, but they do need to be ambulatory themselves or be in a wheelchair,
Okay.
but they still need to navigate their wheelchair.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. So we need wording to identify that as, you know, we can help, but they have to be ambulatory or in a wheelchair.
Or another option is that you could require that individuals may need a care attendant to go attend.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
What?
The care attending,
Okay.
the care person attend
Yeah.
with them.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, which would be,
In theory, that person has been trained to take care of them. This is Cindy once again. And they know what their needs are.
right. Okay.
I have another question, and I don't know where to throw this in, so I'll throw it out now. If you want to wait and discuss it later, that's fine. But where are we going to go in terms of picking people up to take them grocery shopping? Is it Tilton only? Is it Tilton, Northfield, and Samberton? The reason I'm asking is that I know there are a lot of people in Franklin that we've been doing grocery shopping for. If we get calls from people in Franklin who want to do grocery shopping, is that something we do or no? What is this appropriate to talk about this now?
I don't think, so the way that, I don't think we will be doing Franklin. CAP has a program with the Friends program. So they're going to continue to do their program, particularly during the COVID thing. There are a couple of people in Samberton that um, are looking for help for seniors. But I don't want to get even in negotiations with Samberton unless they want to come up with a program in an MOU with Samberton. So until anything happens, it's Tilton only right now.
Okay. Okay.
Right now. Now, it could be in the future Samberton, because Samberton is well aware of how many people use the Tilton Senior Center, but they're looking for other things to help seniors with, and there's a whole movement going on right now where they really want to help um, their seniors and engage in a lot more to help their seniors. So they may be open, but it's not going to be without a cost.
What about Northfield? Because we have
Well,
a lot of
Northfield would be
Northfield
the-
people who come to the senior center.
Northfield would be the same thing. We could talk to Northfield and say, hey, we've got this available. Could you help out with gas and maintenance of the bus?
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? That would be if they say yes, then we could come back to the executive committee and say, hey, do we want to open it up to Northfield and Tilton? But also, Cindy, what towns do you carry? What do you do with the Friends program?
So working with the Friends program is strictly just for the shopping trips during this COVID-19
Okay.
pandemic. So in theory, that's going to end when the pandemic, when our emergency, when everything's lifted, I expect, and folks can go shopping again, then they'll be doing that. We'll put them on the bus. And at this point, we couldn't put them on the bus to get shopping. And we knew that some folks did not have folks to shop for them. So we knew it was going to be necessary to do something. But our buses, so in normal running situations, we don't have a bus in Samberton and we don't have a bus covering Canterbury, but we do in Franklin and Belmont and Laconia, which does also cover Tilton. Now, with you guys up and running with your Tilton bus, I can see that because you have the bus, we're going to back off a bit. And you guys, we're here where you need us, but we're going to back off and we're going to direct folks to you folks that are calling within Tilton or whatever you determine your coverage area is going to be. Maybe it's particular days, maybe it's whatever you decide. So as mobility manager, I'm going to point people to use your bus to give you folks a call for the transportation on that time, whenever your service area time is. And we'll kind of help with the rest, whatever you're not doing. So I can see that, maybe we may be able to, maybe we'll be able to cover Canterbury because you guys have this bus now. Or maybe we may alter our area to cover Samberton since you guys have Tilton. You know what I mean? So I'm trying to share the load. And we may be able to get into other areas that we haven't been able to because we want to make sure that the areas were covered. But another bus opens things up. So this is great. This is really good news for seniors in that area. In Tilton for sure. Maybe even Northfield and Samberton. And Northfield's getting some service from us as well. But we have not been able to go into Canterbury and we have not been able to go into Samberton previously. That may change.
What did you say about Northfield, Cindy? The last part I didn't hear you.
We do cover Northfield, but we don't cover Canterbury and we don't cover Samberton. So it may be that, once you guys are up and running, depending on where your service area is, it may be that we may be able to go to these other areas that haven't previously been served. So we're going to look at that, right? It opens the door for so much that we're not quite sure what's going to happen. Just like you guys do, CAP is kind of watching and waiting to see where your service area is. Let's see what happens. And I can see a year from now, it's possible that we'll be changing coverage because you guys have it all taken care of in your area. Or at least on certain days or whatever you come up with.
Yep.
Okay, so this is Iris. So along with that now, brings up the question of where are the requests going to come into? Who's going to approve the requests? And what time are we going to have time frames? For instance, if we establish Wednesday and Friday are pickups to go to Walmart and Market Basket for people to shop. At what point do they need to call to make that appointment so that we can have a schedule of where to go? And if there's going to be last minute things, who's going to take that call? And do we need any of that put into this, this assignment sheet and so forth that we're building?
So this is Pat, and that's a very valid question. We had talked about it. I think that we can. I don't know if you want to do it with this meeting, but it does need to be ironed out. Um, I'm not. I don't know if we need to put it into the policy, but it is. I suppose it should be in policy, but we have to work it out. If we want to do that, first we have to figure out, do we want to do that? Is that something our intent is? We haven't even ironed that out yet, Iris, as far as do we want to do that once a month, open up to the Tilton residents only to go shopping. Once we agree to do that, um, first step is to get our driver policy out there. Now that we know we've got volunteer drivers and our drivers are all set and equipped to drive our vehicles, now we can say, okay, we can open up our drivers now that we've got the van all set, ready to go out there, insured, everything. What do we want to do with this now? Do we want to open it up? How do we want to open it up? Where do we want to go with it? And then once we develop all of the ideas that we want for this van to do, then we can go to the Board of Selectmen and say, well, do you think that a couple of times a week that the seniors could call Gail, or could we have one person designated from our committee to, let's say, we get a, what do you call it, a burner phone, and that would be paid for out of our donations. What is it, 35 or something dollars a month? And that's the number that they call. And then one of us take it, uh, you know, let's say I take it on Fridays or somebody else takes it on Wednesdays. And whoever calls on that day takes the information down, puts it into the computer. Cindy said that, she had an online thing that we could go in and say, okay, we're going to take this day and we're available that day, and we take that. The driver can say, yeah, I'll drive those people that day, and we could do that online. And that was kind of what we were talking about between Cindy and Jeannie and Terry when we were thinking about getting the bus and what we could do. These are all brainstorming ideas that the committee has yet to sit down and talk about it. So it's all out in the air about brainstorming. So um, we have to we have to figure out what direction we want to go in.
Okay, well, this is Iris. So that could be another meeting just amongst the executive board to figure out what we want to do. And then you can run it by whoever you need to. Obviously, the selectmen will be the end person, but for all of us to be able to come up with ideas about how we exactly want to do that, because there has to be something I feel that you can publish, and then people will have that set of rules to look at and say, oh, okay, I need a ride, but I have to call X number of days or X number of hours, or however you want to do it, whatever we come up with. But I think it's something that we need to be able to publish on the senior center site or on the town site, or a linkage to it or something.
I totally agree with that. Yeah, and then we could put it out there and we could and advertise it. Absolutely. I think we're a month, maybe a month and a half away from doing that. Um, because we're at least a few weeks or better to get this policy out.
Well, we can't take anybody's
Mhm.
input right now because of the government.
So I know, we can start getting things in motion. Um, as far as that's concerned, we can start talking to people that we want to get as drivers. We can start getting them set up as drivers. We can do all that and get everything in place. Once we get the policy written and in place and we get people trained, then that's the first step. And that will take some time.
Right,
I think that,
okay.
so you see where we're going with that? So we're kind of, yeah, there's a lot of stuff going around in our heads, but we just got to sift through it and take it in like little categories. So that, I think that's going to take a whole meeting to discuss the use, the policy, on what to do when it's parked there, the route, how to get in touch with people, where to call, and then the executive committee on how to get the drivers. Or
Okay, so we can do that at a separate meeting then.
there may even be a senior that's at home that could take the calls and put it in the computer for us. There might even be that. We don't know.
Yeah,
That's
right,
something at home all the time. That wouldn't be you, Iris.
okay. No, unfortunately. I'm-
Little vagabond. Okay, so we're down on the brakes. It's we need to check brakes, but brakes and parking brakes are part of that. Fire extinguisher, absolutely. First aid, absolutely. Body fluid, absolutely. That's part of the training that I was suggesting. That if we can stay on a couple of minutes after Cindy leaves, I'll talk about that. Emergency flasher, full-way flashes, absolutely. Rear view mirror, door operation, backing the bus up, yes. So all this is very important. Operation in inclement weather, highway operation, grade operation, turning corners. All right, and then section 7, absolutely need that in there. Excuse me. The whole section. Section 8, this is probably what you were referring to, Iris, as the ride. Excuse me. The actual pickup time and accepted the whole bit about riders and stuff. So maybe we can name it something different, but we can have it as a policy. So when we go and pick them up, this person should be ready 15 minutes before, that kind of thing. That should be in the policy.
Okay,
Uh, driver assistance, I totally believe in that.
mhm,
This is Cindy. I just want to stop you at that third paragraph under there, where drivers are not allowed to leave the site of their vehicle while they're operating. That one's important. If you wanted to add that as well. Oh, back down. The other direction. So it's under the driver's assistance, the third paragraph.
Yeah, this is all driver assistance. We're taking this whole paragraph.
Okay,
Yeah, because we don't want to permit anyone to enter a private residence. We don't want them to operate the wheelchair or mobility aids on their own. And we don't want them to leave sight of the vehicle. You're absolutely right, Cindy, on that one. So, personal care attendants, absolutely. We want them to be comfortable and come on the bus with them.
Yep.
We need to word that a little bit differently. Just customers are allowed to bring a personal care assistant on there. Why do they need to register their need for PCA? Is that a Medicare thing, Cindy?
yeah, it's so they can ride for free.
Okay, got it.
And so if we know about it, if someone else gets on, we just assume they're another rider.
Yeah,
Unless they tell us, no, no, it's my personal care attendant, and they're registered,
okay. So
right?
we don't really need to have that on there. We don't need to have that portion on there. Okay. All right. So now we're down to the bottom part where we don't need this. Um, do we want to have a customer comment form where the seniors actually comment?
So here's my opinion on it. I bet you're going to end up with some really lovely comments that are really great PR if you want to promote your program.
Okay.
That and when you are collecting data and presenting it at the end of the year, you could say we had a 95 success, rate versus, 5%. And here are some of the lovely things that are said about the program. And you
Okay.
may also get some insight to areas that you didn't realize were troublesome, right? So maybe there's something that's cumbersome that doesn't need to be, and someone may be able to see that. And this is a way to get that information. It's just an idea.
Yeah, that's a
I
good
agree.
idea.
Yeah, it is very good because it can let us know we're going in the right direction or maybe we need to change a little bit, whatever it might be.
Right.
Yeah, this is Iris. I agree too. Comment cards are always really good. Even if they're just all really nice ones, that's fine. But every once in a while, you get somebody who complain about something, and then you can look into it. And if I mean, there's just some people like to complain, but at least if we have a valid comment that is negative, we can address that at that time.
Right.
Okay. So then we have an incident report, which probably would be okay for employees of volunteers, I'm sure. And then the next one, we don't need that.
What?
Well, we do need the driver. Um, it's going to be a volunteer, so we need a driver volunteer. Uh, so we need to have it volunteer, but we need to have a job summary of what is needed, responsibilities. We'll word it in a different way.
Right. But it would
Uh,
be good to know who the volunteer is reporting to and
right,
the qualifications.
exactly, right.
Yeah.
So um, those are descriptions. Okay. So, and this is the timesheet, a
Yeah.
sample of the timesheet for the dates. And we could kind of tweak it a little bit to say what we wanted to say. And then this is the mileage reporting.
Oh, no, that one's still part of the timesheet.
This is the Oh,
It's
okay.
part of the
Yep,
time sheet.
got
Yeah.
it. Okay.
So you probably won't worry about that at all.
Right.
This
this-
I thought was
This is the bus driver's vehicle inspection report. This is kind of like the checklist we were talking about. We could take some of these out, make one up and take it out, and then have a checklist that make up a checklist that on the side and just have them check down it and initial it. Not check it, but initial it, that it was their initials. And then here's the vehicle log. That's it. So, oh, here you are back again. So that's a lot of work. So we've got our work cut out for us now to take what you all sort of kind of agreed to and said, okay, this is what we should have and what we shouldn't have. Um, and tweak it into a basic framework. And then once we have that framework, we'll meet again and say, this is kind of what it looks like. What do you think? And then we'll propose it to Jeannie and myself, and then let Jeannie take it kind of towards either Primex or the attorney and say, what do you think? And then we have a policy. And then we will come together. I want you to sit back, Sandy and Iris, for a second after Cindy leaves, and then see what this all takes place. And once this is approved, then the sky is us as long as we get what we want to do with the bus. I mean, this is going to open up a whole new world to everybody.
Right.
Exciting new world.
Yeah.
I hope it happens soon and that thing stops because the kids go to school and I can play with this bus now. It'll be very exciting to me.
I can't wait for the party on the bus.
I know. I can come down and pick you up. Oh, I can drive it now. I could come down, pick you up, and go all the way around. We could practice 6 feet high, but it's nice. It's very nice.
So
Very
here's what I'm going to do for you
I-
folks is I'm going
This
to
is
go down
Iris.
Terry if there's
You can.
Hold on, Iris. Wait.
no, I'm just going to check with Terry to see if there's any locations in Tilton that we're aware of that we can't let the bus go to. You know, maybe something we've already run across. I'll check on that. And the other thing, I'll also verify, I'll just ask her what should we do with our registration and insurance and all that to see what we do here.
Okay.
Yeah. So I can let you guys know what we're doing.
All right. And we'll be talking back and forth too, because as I tweak this, I'll ask you questions as well.
Okay.
All right.
If I don't have the answer, I'll get it.
Thank you, Cindy.
Thank you so much for your help. You've been a world of knowledge. This is unbelievable.
So good. I'm glad it's helpful. And we're behind you guys all the way. So this is going to be good stuff. I love it.
Yeah. Thank you.
You're
All
welcome.
right.
So with that, I'm going to sign off.
Thank you, Cindy.
All right.
All right, take
Bye-bye.
care. And everybody stay well.
All right. Thank you. You too. All right, you guys. All right. So are you still with us?
Yep.
I'm here.
And
It's Iris.
All right. So this is what else I wanted to talk to you about without Cindy online, because Cindy has been community action has been so helpful in this whole entire process. I mean, unbelievable. helpful in this whole entire process, and I didn't want to go over her head or do anything that is not helpful. So they have offered to help us do some of the training. They have a driver program kind of training. Remember, they had said it was like a 16-hour kind of training for that, but they're down for the count for COVID. They're not doing anything until this whole thing is down and out. The state, the federal motor carrier people said we don't have to do anything. And then I talked with the DOT, and the DOT said, well, you don't have to do anything. But I talked with the state trooper G, which is the people that oversee bus transportation and pupil transportation and passenger transportation, which encompasses 10 passenger and over buses in people like Granite State Independent Living, Community Action Programs, Spalding, Tilton School, all those kinds of buses. So in talking with the gentleman, there are no special requirements for us as a municipality because we're exempt, but he highly recommends that we get some type of training. But there really isn't any training around, and I have been on the phone, Jane can vouch for that, on the phone for about a week and a half now. So I finally called my boss at First Student and I said, can you help me out? Because here's the situation. I don't want my volunteers to go, because right now that's what the state says we can do. We can just, Iris, after you get a medical card, you can just go in that van and drive without any knowledge whatsoever. The state says because you're a municipality, you're exempt without any knowledge whatsoever to go in. And if you have a wheelchair, you just figure it out. I mean, it's baptism by fire, which I am totally upset with, and I just will not have that under any circumstances because that puts us as at a liability. So once I explained that to my boss, I said, do you know of any agencies around in the state that will come and train us? First, let me back up. First, I asked our town administrator. First, I asked Jeannie to check with Primex, and they do not have any. They have driver awareness, driver defensive driving, things like that, but they don't have something like wheelchair accessibilities, unloading passengers and things like that, how to tie down properly a wheelchair lift operations, bodily fluid bodily fluid kits, how to use them, how not to use them, first aid, how to replenish a first aid kit, the fire extinguishers, things like that. So when I spoke with my boss, and she said, well, the only one that I thought of would be the trainer and that we have for First Student. Her name is Toy, Toy, and there's several trainers. There's a lot of trainers, but she is New Hampshire state certified to be a trainers. She trains the trainers. And so outside of First Student, keep First Student completely out of it, she can train people to do this. She's never gone out and done that because she's very satisfied with training trainers in the environment that she's in. So I asked if she would be willing to do that on one day, come down, and obviously with practicing social distancing and so on and so forth with the people that we have that want the training now. And that's 3 people. That's Emily, Jane, and this Dave, M says Dave Cloutier. I'm sorry, 4 people, and Greg DeVolder. He's up on School Street. He has the farm, that he's the one that brings the eggs to the senior center. Do you know
Oh,
him?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So he said he would jump in and drive once in a while as well. So um, it would be like a stipend. It would come out of our grants and donations line for $200. It would be, she's the one that trained me. It'd be excellent, excellent training. They would go meet up at the senior center. I would drive the bus up there. She would go over this particular bus because every bus is different. Every bus is different. And take one at a time, go out, look at it, um, train that individual on what it is. The Jeannie and I, if the executive committee says yes, it would happen sooner than it would happen with CAP. You're looking at months to happen with CAP. You're not looking at months to happen here. It could happen soon, as soon as you want
Yeah.
it, because right now we're out of work. So I mean, we're getting paid, but we're out of work. Um, so it's not like she needs the job, but we're out of work right now because the governor says we can't go back to work. But because of the school contract and the way the stimulus is written, we're blessed and getting paid. So anyway, um, I lost my train of thought. So she can come. Jeannie, Jeannie and I are working on getting it uh, presented to. We have to have some type of a waiver that's uh, that says, if I teach you to do this, and 6 months down the road you forget what you've been taught, that nobody's liable for that. Um, the wording of that. So she's going to talk to the board on it Thursday night. It's a simple waiver. It's done all the time. Um, so I didn't know how the board felt about that.
I think it's good. I'd like to make a motion to have us
No,
do that.
come over here.
Okay.
They can't hear you unless you're here.
My legs
Yeah.
are hurt. I'm sorry. I'd like to make a motion to do that.
Well, let's hear what they have to say first.
This is Iris, and I think that that's great. It's more personalized this way because where it will be just for this particular bus. I think it's a really good idea. And I don't find $200, you know, um, at all objectionable. I think it's a great price.
I do too.
Okay, so what do you think, Sandy?
I was going to say, I think it's a fantastic idea. I like the idea that everyone will be training need, they'll know what they're doing, so that they'll have the peace of mind when they start to drive the buses that they have been properly shown how to do everything. And I don't think the price is really dirt cheap as far as I can see, compared to other costs around. And I think it's very worthwhile, and it would be good for the town as well, because it's one more thing that we wouldn't be able to be sued over. But someone adding to the fact that the drivers weren't even trained. So I think it's good, very good, and it will give everyone more confidence knowing that they've been shown how to do everything.
Okay, so all right, so
I'll make a motion. Need a second.
okay. Oh, say it again.
I made a motion to accept the proposal to have the outside person come in and train us on using the bus, the wheelchair ramp, and things of that nature.
I second it. That's Iris.
It was Jane who made the motion.
Okay, so a motion has been made to have an outside person come in and train for um, the wheelchair loading and unloading and safety for um, the safety aspects of the bus for training. It's seconded by Iris. Any more discussion?
No.
We'll take a roll call vote. Jane,
Aye.
Sandy,
Aye.
Iris,
I,
Pat, aye. All right, the motion passes, and I will get in touch with Jeannie, and we'll work on that to happen. The other thing is, uh, we have not budgeted in any manner for the um, medical card.
How much?
I don't know. I think it's either $75 or $100 for the medical card. There are volunteers for the senior center. Do we want to take that out of grants and donations?
this is Iris. I think we should because I don't really think people should have to pay for it. But I think that if you can afford to, that maybe a donation back a part of it.
The per individual person.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, the
Yeah, I
individual person
mean, I don't want to pay, I can't afford 100 right now, but obviously I would want to put whatever I could toward it just because.
Yeah, either that or in the future. Okay. So I'm not. I'm. Gail was going to check on what it cost prior, but I didn't know what it was. She'll find out when she starts scheduling people to what how much it does cost for it. But there's 4 right now, well, or 3 definitely. So we'll get those started and then see what we can do. But we'll if there gets to be too many, we'll limit it.
Right.
Okay.
All right. Or maybe ask if
Yeah.
they
And
or maybe
we
ask if
need
they
the,
put budget.
I'm sorry, it's Iris. We need the original people that volunteered, at least for now, because we have to be able to get it going once we're up and running.
Right. At least that 4 drivers. Well, you'll have me as long as I'm not working. So I'm a driver as well, but I'm already qualified and have a medical card. So
Right,
we have that. So you'll have 4 plus me. 5.
right.
That should be
So
enough.
yeah, I don't know what kind of card that I have or whatever. I don't know what I have as a cab driver. So I'll
Yeah,
have
you
to
would.
look into that.
I don't think it's a medic. Oh,
maybe.
well, do they require a
Because I
medical?
actually get paid by CAP when I drive anybody. It's volunteer, but it's volunteer paid.
But I think you might have a medical card. Do you keep it in your wallet?
Well, if I do, I don't have it here because I only take what's necessary when I travel, and that
Yeah.
would be one of the things I would need.
Okay. Did you remember having to go to a doctor to get it?
See, I know I took a urine test, but I don't know. I didn't go to, I don't know. I can't remember. It's so long ago already.
All right. You may have it. It
Yeah.
it's let's see if I can. I got mine right here. Hold on. So that's what it looks like. Can you see?
Let me make that bigger if I can. No, I don't think I have that.
Okay.
No, I probably just have some sort of volunteer type of card that they gave me.
All right. So well, let's just check to see what you do have.
Yeah, I can check with Rosa, um, and find out what it was that I had for clearance. And then, that way I'll know for sure, because she'll know exactly what I'm talking about, and I can email her when I'm on my way home.
Okay. All right. So that's pretty. Oh, one more thing I wanted to share with you. Hold on a minute. Oh, 1 second.
While we're waiting, I just wanted to ask Pat, did you need to, you changed the subject a little bit. Did you need to make an announcement about the public?
About the what?
About public comment?
Oh, yes. Do we have any public on?
I'm good.
Okay, thanks, Tim. All right. Okay, here, I'm going to share this document.
Excuse me, Pat.
Yep.
Uh, One thing I was thinking about earlier when you were talking about the drivers and fuel, your log that you were talking about,
Yep.
just recall we'll have to have separate pins for the separate drivers for them to use the card, the fuel
Okay.
card. Okay, thanks.
Yeah, that's right. We all have to have a separate pin to use the card so we know which person is gassing up or not. All right, so
Okay.
why isn't my sharing working here? Share your screen.
It shows that you're not sharing.
It came up. Share.
Oh.
Oh.
So this is Iris, just an FYI. Within the next 10 minutes, I'll have to hang off because we're going out. My son-in-law's picking up something and my daughter and I are going for the ride just to
Okay.
get out of the house.
This will take about 2 minutes if you just look at the expense sheet.
Okay?
So we've got some donations, and then the ending balance is $11,690.50. The expenditures were
Awesome.
$268.47.
Those are just, it looks like those are just our usual
No,
every month expenditures. There's nothing different.
nothing. No, nothing different because that's the extra expenditures like the rugs and the senior center. Everything else is in the budget. And thank you for Joe and Cindy. And the other ones are donations for everything else. All right.
Yep.
And I'm checking on the floor because they're having a hard time getting in touch with East Coast Flooring. So I've spoken with Ezra. Cecil has retired from Lowe's, so Ezra is the one that's following up on the East Coast Flooring, and it's been 3 weeks now, and he's been unable to get them. So I don't know what's up with that.
Oh, the
Oh, I
virus.
wonder if they closed down for the virus then.
That's what I
Yep.
thought.
So I'm working on it because now's the time to get in there and do it. But
Yeah.
I,
Yeah.
I'm still working on it. All right.
Okay.
Thank you all.
Make a motion to
No,
adjourn.
can
Sandy,
we approve the minutes?
yeah, make a motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
Okay, so this is Iris. I have to abstain from both of those because I wasn't there. I'm assuming that everything on there is correct, but
Yep. And so I'll take a roll call vote. Jane,
Yes.
Sandy,
Yes.
Iris.
Abstaining.
abstain.
Okay, Pat, yes. So that passed. Sandy, Tim is going to arrange to get this recording to you.
Okay,
He'll send you the information to how to access the recording.
okay, just remember, Tim, I don't have anything fancy on this old computer, so,
Okay. All right. It'll be a link to an audio file that you can play and
okay,
pause.
okay, that's fine.
Okay.
Make motion to adjourn?
Second,
Roll call vote, please.
Yes.
Jane,
yes,
Iris,
Yes,
nice seeing you, by the way. Sandy,
yeah,
yes.
all right. You have a good time.
okay.
See you. See
Pat,
you in a bit, everybody. Thanks. Thank you,
Be
Tim.
safe,
You're
everyone.
welcome.
Thanks, Tim.
Thank you.
Pat,
All right.
before you hang,
Hey, Pat.
What?
So then you can end the recording
Yep.
by clicking on that again.